Do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code Comic-Con15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.
Welcome to the one and only Comic-Con Podcast, your podcast for comic book news, reviews, and comic community drama, with your hosts, Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manimal. Are you listening?
Yo, everybody, welcome back. Comic-Con Podcast, Season 4, Episode 24. We have a really, really special episode today. We're going to break down frame by frame Acolyte Episode 3. That's all we're talking about today. We're not going to focus on anything else. That's all we're doing. Psych. No, we're doing comics. We're going to talk about Acolyte because we need Justin to chill out a little bit so he can relax. Yeah. I'm sure the unless they pull out just the comeback of the year with the final 3 episodes,
we should literally. I could just take
review.
I could just take my Instagram reel and just read everybody's comments. And that could be the whole show. That literally could be the whole show of just reading everybody's comments.
Yeah.
There's some like back and forth battles that I've just completely stayed out of. But like these 2 or 3 guys have been going back and forth like all day. It's hilarious. So
it's almost like the scene from Dark Knight where the Joker breaks the pool cue and just throws it on the ground and people have to like kill themselves to get, it's just like you play the thing, you just step back and people just go to battle. Like that's like the best. But no, we do have a great episode. We have a guest today. We got our friend Justin, aka NoGoodComics, with us. What's up, dude?
What's going on, fellas? Doing good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. I think last time you were on, I was gone. I believe you filled in for me probably. So this will be a fun episode having a fellow X fan. Justin doesn't even know the X-Men. Doesn't even know who's on the team. Some bullshit.
What year? What volume?
Unfortunately, this week though, there wasn't like one X book. I think it was just like, did you believe Bloodhunt? It's like the only X-Men book this week.
I was looking ahead. I was like, damn, yeah.
Don't worry. We'll you know what? We'll have you back on like over the summer.
That's not true.
Like, once
there
the
is
couple
one.
X
There is
titles
one.
come out.
Worry.
That's the best time to have you on since you're the big. Yeah, you are the other big X guy. I think of all of our guests.
I'm always like dying to talk X-Men with someone. Justin's been pretty good about it though. He's really over the course of the Comic-Con podcast. I feel like I've infected him a little bit more with like X-Men love than he definitely had. So that's for sure.
Little by little.
Yeah, little by little, I'm just infecting him with things we can speak of, things we can't. But But anyway. Let's jump into it because I know there's a lot of books. We're going to knock out the books and then we'll get into some articles and we'll talk some other stuff. But there's a big week this week. And if you guys listened last week, which I'm sure you did, we're going to do the same thing. We'll talk our books and then we're going to finish it up with a little Bloodhunt recap for week 3, I guess, or we're calling it week 4, whatever we're calling it. But so let's get into it. Since there's 3 of us and there's a lot of books, let's try to keep it. Each pick a couple, and then we'll move on to Bloodhunt. Does that sound good for everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and knock out a few that I was really, really a fan of. I feel like this is a good week. And I'm honestly, I'm looking through the list
and
trying to figure out what garbage is, because I feel like you got to probably come up with some garbage, but I'm not really seeing any.
Ultimate X-Men?
I was going to say, I know what Justin's
I'm not reading it.
I'm not reading it. So all right, here it is. This is perfect, because you're an X-Men guy. I think... Yeah. Let's just touch on it. So, Justin, are you reading it? What are your thoughts? And if you like it, please tell us why.
Yeah, so I am reading it. I just caught up, and it's okay. I'm not loving it. I'm also not hating it. I've heard some of your reviews in the past, but I understand. I understand. Like it's the artwork is one thing for sure. I don't think. I mean, I like Peach covers. I collect, I have a bunch. But there's definitely, parts of her work that I'm just not a fan of. And I think that some of it's captured in Ultimate X-Men 4 or the series. The story's a little slow too. I think that it's probably just going to be one of those things that read better as a trade overall. The only thing that has me into it is like the curiosity, I guess, of everything.
Where it might end up. Yeah.
Right. And like, well, that and like where it's going in comparison to the rest of like the Ultimate new world of everyone trying to figure out their powers again for the first time, all that stuff. So it's like the idea of it, I think, is kind of cool, and they could do a lot of different things with it, especially with the X-Men and how they're going to bring them in. But it's very different. So I don't know. Some of it's a little bit of a manga vibe, and I have been reading a lot of manga lately. So I think maybe that might be part of it that I'm kind of like, okay, like I'll ride with this a little bit, but I'm definitely not in love with it. So I feel you when I mean, I wouldn't call it hot trash, all right, Justin, but it's still I'm gonna buy a couple more issues and see where it goes.
Has it tied into that, like, to the the main theme of the Ultimate Universe, where like the Maker and all that? Has there been any kind of crossover? Does it even seem like it's even part of the Ultimate Universe outside the title yet?
Not other than like there's a few characters now that have been introduced that have realized that they have some sort of power, and they're all just kind of in the middle of questioning themselves, and is it real? And the people that I see around me that have powers, is it real that they have it? And it's just like a bunch of teenagers who are just kind of genuinely figuring out, which I think or would be accurate. Where it would go, but it doesn't really touch on anything much bigger, at least not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking when it gets down the road, I might go back and try again. But as of now, like, it was just it was a hard pass for me. But okay, so what did I got? Dude, there was so many good books this week. And you know what I didn't even get to read, Justin? I just got in the mail was I got the Yaira #1 from the Rippaverse.
Nice.
I still haven't got to that, but
mine shipped. I'm still waiting.
Oh, nice. Did you get the there's like a magazine too? Did you order that? I ordered
I didn't see that. I just read the one.
The Rippazine.
Oh, that's
cool.
No.
Yeah, I don't really know what it is. I think it's a collector's edition. I think there might be it looks like there's a 13-page story in here by Eric. So I'm excited to check that out too. But anyway, getting into this. So I picked up okay, so one of the books I want to talk about that I really liked was and we talked about a month or so ago at this point, was that Rifters. Rifters #1, written by that comic Brian Posehn and who else? There's another like kind of big name guy, but it was funny, man. It's basically like time cops, and in brief synopsis of it, someone creates time travel, right? And initially, it's just like the government says it can only be used for science or whatever, but then some president comes in and like it's very like real world situation. So it's like, oh, it can only be used for science. And then it comes in some president's like, no, let's use it for everyone, give it to public business. And then this president's like going back and doing like Biff Tannen type shit and becoming like he goes back in time and he does like the seed money for the time travel. So he's like super wealthy. And then it just kind of gets like, all businesses, like, like let's say, obviously not real, but like Apple and Amazon, everyone's got their own brand and everyone's got their own version of this time travel. And so kids are going back in time. Like one dude draws a dick on Abraham Lincoln's face before the Gettysburg Address. And like, they're just doing like wacky shit in the past. And so then you got these time cops that are like, have to go back and stop this shit. So it's pretty funny. I enjoyed it. And it's not, I'm not I like comedy in my comics, but I also want a storyline. I don't want to just be off the wall zaniness isn't my thing. But it was like the perfect blend of like a good story. It's got a Bill and Ted vibe to it. I felt like, but I really enjoyed it. So check out Rifters from Image. And I think I'll just do 2 more before I get to like my #1 pick of the week. Man, there was just so much. Transformers was good.
Yep.
Geiger. I think I want to talk about Geiger. Geiger was so good, man. I'm really enjoying Geiger. I never read the first volume of Geiger, and I feel like I'm going to go back and have to do that. But we got to see Junkyard Joe show up in this book. I'm really enjoying the way it goes. And I really love this whole unnamed storyline, or like the Jeff Johns is doing with the Ghost Machine stuff. 2 other real quick ones. Ain't No Grave #2. Awesome. Love it. Ain't No Grave. I love Scotty Young as a writer. Like I like his art too. Don't get me wrong. It's good. I'm not crazy about his. I know it's all the hype when Scotty Young does his like baby covers. That's kind of what I think about them. I don't know. Is there a name for his covers that he does?
They are, right.
I call them baby covers kind of, right? Yeah. It reminds me like X Babies. That's always what I think about, like when the X-Men went to Mojo Universe and they're like X Babies. Yeah, so but I love it when he's doing it. I love Jorge Corona's art. So I really am liking Ain't No Grave. Dick Tracy. Oh, go ahead.
Are you real quick? So
yeah.
I was reading Ain't No Grave, and I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody else does this here on the panel or listeners, but I read it like a Western. So like when I'm reading it, I'm actually reading it like, how they would talk in like the Western time. So it's not just like me reading right now as the book. It's me reading, y'all gonna do this. And like, I really give the accents to all like the characters.
Yeah, you
I don't know if anybody else does that.
Yeah. This was actually my read of the week, Ain't No Grave. The second
okay. Then I'll move on so you can talk about it. Just give it an honorable mention on that one. I do love real quick. Like, she's not a good person. Like this issue, like the first issue, you're like, oh, she's just like, it's the Wild West. She robs cars. This issue, like, no, she's a bad person.
Justin will get into it.
Yeah. And then Dick Tracy #2. I'm really loving like re-experiencing Dick Tracy. It makes me want to go back and watch the Warren Beatty show movie again, which is just an all-time amazing movie. But yeah, I love Dick Tracy. It's old school. It's funny. It's fun seeing like Mumbles and Lips and all these guys like show up and stuff. So I like the stuff at Mad Cave, man. I wish Mad Cave would put out more, and I want to try to read more of their stuff. I really like Nottingham. I like obviously this Dick Tracy stuff. I think they got a good base over there, and they're really kind of like putting out good material. So, and then my pick of the week, I lied when I said there was no X-Men book. The Era of Apocalypse this week was phenomenal. That was just, I'm a big fan of the 12 storyline of Apocalypse in general. And I liked the whole Krakoa age, and I loved, not loved, but I wasn't crazy about Apocalypse and all the villains kind of being good guys. It was cool. It was a nice twist and whatnot, but I'm loving Apocalypse being Apocalypse and going back. And, so for those of you who don't know, Apocalypse is staying on Mars, and he's trying to find an heir to kind of take over his role of, survival of the fittest for the Earth mutants. And so he gets 12 mutants, brings them to like almost like a murder world, like arcade type situation where he's put them through tests, and one of them is going to come out on top as the heir of Apocalypse. And without spoiling it, there's a awesome surprise at the end, like a character who's like the 13th member who shows up to this competition at the very end. So I was surprised. I was looking forward to this, but you kind of like look forward to these books and you're like, man, this is going to be good, and you get let down. But I was really excited about this run, and it did not let me down. So that's what I got. That's my.
I didn't know it was coming out this week until I saw it, and I was like, Heir to the Apocalypse. I'm like, this could be cool. It's kind of like Contest of Champions, but
it is.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's literally what it is.
The group of the people, the characters they got, it's kind of a range. It's got like powerful, obviously like Exodus, Mr. Sinister, Cable being thrown in there as like an heir to Apocalypse was kind of out of left field, which was cool. The real sleeper agent right now is Armageddon Girl. Used to be Nature Girl, showing up. Like if you've been reading any of the X-Men Infinity stuff, she's kind of broken bad during the whole like Krakoa age type stuff. So there's some really interesting characters and dynamic that I think are going to show up. And I love Penance as well. I love that Monet and Penance is there. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great title.
Rowing in X-23 for the Wolverine character, right?
Yeah. You gotta, Wolverine, dude, you can't call her X-23. It's like dead naming her now. I get really offended about that when you.
So if you had to guess now, who think's gonna come out on the end?
I think it's gonna be Armageddon Girl. Honestly, at this point, I do. She seems like she fits the role the most in terms of like bloodthirstiness. I think everyone assumes it's got to be Exodus, but I don't think it's going to end up being him, even though he's probably like the most powerful out of all of them. But the guy who shows up number 13, gonna be a tough fight for that dude.
What about you, Justin?
So yeah, I didn't realize it was coming out until just recently. I didn't get to read it yet, but it sounds cool. I mean, just from what I saw from it, sounded cool. I didn't get to read like the original Age of Apocalypse and all that stuff yet. So I don't have the attachment to Apocalypse as most X fans might. And I've only read the Claremont stuff, and then mixed in with the Hickman era is where most of my X-Men reading has been. So like when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'll probably check it out, but I wasn't necessarily like jumping at it right off the bat. Who's the artist, and did you like the artwork?
Yeah, the art's good. I'm not a massive art person. The writer Steve Fox, pencil Netho Diaz.
It was good.
Yeah, it's good art. Like the characters look great.
Cool.
Here, I'll read out the characters real quick because I think that's pretty cool. So you got Armageddon Girl, Cable, Cypher, Emma Frost, Exodus, Forge. Oh yeah, I forgot Gorgon's there too, which I think Gorgon's really cool since the Krakoa age. Mr. Sinister, Mirage, Penance, Wolverine, and Richter. And so Richter's very interesting too, because him and Apocalypse have like bonded during the whole Krakoa age. And so he kind of feels like it should be him. Like he's the one who Apocalypse like taught magic to and stuff. So it's a very interesting dynamic there as well.
Yeah. And then even in the beginning, you get to see Angel and Sunspot and how he like wants them to come.
Sunfire.
Yeah. Or Sunfire. Yeah. And Angel just completely says, screw you. And like turns into Archangel and just bounces. Like it's pretty bad. Yeah, it was pretty badass.
I hope we see more of that because honestly, the Krakoa age was really lacking in Archangel. Like they kind of did him dirty and just didn't bring him in. I'd love to see Archangel come back and really have a strong role. So,
well, I think that's something that you're gonna have to do on your show, Justin, is do a like Age of Apocalypse. Get into that stuff and get Zach on there.
That's my all-time favorite storyline.
That would be cool. It is on my list, like something I know I want to just take a summer and binge. I know it's a lot, or at least from what I heard, it's a lot. But is there an omnibus out there of it?
Two. There's the Age of Apocalypse, and then there's like a companion omnibus that has like a bunch of like the extra stuff. You could get away with just reading the main omnibus, but the companion has like tie-ins with like the Blink miniseries. I think is in that, and then some other books. So
did you like X of Swords? Did you?
No, kind of. It was okay. It was middle of the. I felt like when you got to the battle, like the like idea was awesome, right? Like you thought you were going to see some kind of like Mortal Kombat type situation, and then they kind of blew through some of the competitions, right? Like in like one panel.
Yeah, you're right.
Was like Storm had a drinking contest with someone
super fast.
Yeah. You know, and like I'm not against the drinking contest type
stuff.
But it was like they just blew through things.
All this hype. Yeah.
It really made it like anticlimactic in a way. And I was kind of like, okay. So, and I also just don't care for like I don't care for Excalibur characters really. Like I don't like Saturnine and like
I'm with you there,
man. I just I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't really explored a lot of that.
Yeah,
can't get into it.
So anyway, you guys, what'd you like?
Jay, why don't you go first?
Sure. So I've been, definitely playing catch up on some more of my newer reads. I know Zach been talking a little bit of novelty or not novels recently that I've been diving into, and between that and One Piece, my mind's kind of been catching up on a lot of other things. So trying to get back into just the steady new comic book stuff, which this is great I love that you guys break stuff down every week, and easy to kind of stay in touch with a lot of the stuff, even if you're not reading every issue. So for me, I mean, we talked about Ultimate X-Men 4, keeping up with that. I forgot there was another, technically, X related title. And I read the Deadpool and Wolverine. The World War III, I guess it's technically the title. Mostly because Adam Kubert was doing the artwork, and that's what got my attention for it. It's okay. It's very much what you would expect out of a Deadpool Wolverine team book, and I know Marvel definitely trying to take advantage of everything right now, pushing that with the movie and everything, which I am looking forward to. But I'm enjoying it. It's like
it's Joe Kelly, right?
I think so. I forget.
Yeah, writer Joe Kelly. Yeah, so it's like it's the Joe Kelly Deadpool. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like I don't know, there's like some of it feels like it's been told before, of the idea of like this time around it's Deadpool who is captured and given even more new powers and being watched by these rich people that are from some other area. We don't know where they're, out of somewhere in Russia, I guess is kind of where it takes place. And it almost feels like Hunger Game-y that they're like kind of dropped in, except they're expected to fight each other. Wolverine's trying to just figure out what the heck's going on, and Deadpool has like this helmet on and has like these additional powers, and he's kind of not himself at all. But then like there are people literally watching, very much like Hunger Games, like rich folk who are just there for entertainment. They're showing them like sipping their martinis and everything while they're supposed to be like fighting. But then like weeks go by, and like after they fight for so long, they kind of he wears him out and kind of wakes up again, Deadpool. So like they're just trying to survive at that point. And then the game, I guess you like the game maker, they don't call him that, but this other villain that they kind of introduced, he's kind of come in and now he's trying to stir the pot to like get them, essentially either fighting again or getting something going, because everybody's like bored. There's like, it's literally been like 8 weeks, just again within like this one issue or two, second issue. But it's fun. I think it's been fun so far. I don't know how long it's going to go. If it's a 5-issue miniseries or anything like that, but artwork's great. So that was again the main reason I was into it in the first place. The other one I had read was the new Bloodhunt, issue number 3. I've just jumping back into that as I haven't caught like any of the individual issues, so I just jumped right into this and caught up all the way through the third. And you guys are caught up with that, right? Or if you've been
yeah, we're gonna touch base after our reads. We'll break everything down. So
perfect. So then I'll keep it just high level. But that enjoying that so far. I love the artwork there as well. And then the other one that I was really up on, as I mentioned before, was the Ain't No Graves issue number 2. This was, it was an automatic buy for me just because of the creators, and I liked a lot of the stuff that they've done previously. So at this point, it's anything they do, I'm down to give it a shot. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest like Western fan, I guess, or it's not something where I want to go out of my way to like read something if I see that it's in that setting. So I was a little hesitant, but diving right into it, like it's still like heavy. It's mother and her family, and she's sick, and it kind of like jumps right into it. And the idea of her like having to bargain for her life with death. All we know is that there's this character named Death, and for her to be able to have this opportunity where she's like going to his place or their place, wherever it is, and her plan is to actually try to bargain for it. So I thought it was really great. The action was great. You get this red-eyed death bull of some sort, like zombie bull that she rides, and trying to catch a boat and everything else, and it's just like creepy. Like there's like part like they're not even villains, but they're whatever, like the dead, or like they're like creepy characters involved. So I don't know, I'm really interested. I know it's like very early, just as a issue 2, but I love the setup so far, and her goal of trying to figure out a way to live longer. And then like you said, Justin, like you have to read it with a twang. You have to read it with just putting yourself more in that Western background. The winds are kind of blowing, and it's just it's a good time overall, and I definitely would recommend it. I'm looking forward to more. So
nice. Yeah, I like it. Even like at the end when she gets on that ship and all like the handmaids or the butler or waiters or that's like they're all blind. They all have like a
cloth or something.
Like a cloth, like a cloth on their face, and they're all blind, and it's interesting. I like it so far, and Western stuff is
really cool.
Few and far between in most comics, so this is a good series, and I like it's very. I think originally even like someone said it's very Quentin Tarantino-esque, because like each chapter, because it's like 7, it's gonna be 7 issues, and like this was the anger chapter, because that was then like the name of the title, like for this one. So you get that Tarantino style, so it's like Django Unchained or like Hateful Eight type of thing, so definitely some cool stuff.
I like the story, the way it tells a story too, of like blending the current versus the past, and it kind of goes back and forth, and really the only thing is like like it's very really smooth, and like when the backgrounds change, you kind of know exactly where you are, but even like some of the verbiage is like similar, and it's cool how it like repeats, but it's in 2 different times. It's really cool.
Nice. Nice. All right. So for myself, there's definitely a lot of books this week. And I know sometimes we say that, but this was a loaded week. Yeah. And there was a lot of books. Like Zach said, Transformers #9, definitely continuing great read on that. Batman and Robin.
Wait, Justin, before you go on, what'd you think about the guy who showed up at the end? The Transformers.
Shows up at the end.
You want me to tell you?
Wait, no. I'm trying to remember, because there was a lot of cool things. Like I was happy to see like the Combaticons, like but then they're like gone for a second. It's interesting, like how
Beachcomber?
it's going. Yeah, but it's like whatever.
Yeah,
he's okay. He saves Spike, but like I was excited to see how Cup is now going to be on Earth, like with that other female Alita 1. Like I was really excited.
Who's Alita?
Just like another female character.
Because she looks a lot like the other one. The one who's already
RC?
with him.
RC.
Darcy, yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
she's
was kind of getting
completely different.
confused.
But yeah, it was really cool to actually see, like another combiner. I was like, oh man, they're gonna combine, and then he gets chopped off halfway in like that space bridge thing. And I was like, damn it. But spoiler, man, Ratchet just gets wrecked.
Dude, Ratchet
Right?
got ripped,
He gets just destroyed. Batman and Robin number 10, still continuing, great series with the Man Bat stuff. I'm loving that, and that finally kind of closes this arc and sets up what the next arc is going to be. And it looks like they're going to be bringing back Bane, which is really cool. And this is such a different thing. Last week I talked about the regular Batman series and how it's all about the family, and then even this has that family aspect with Damian. Like, this is what the Batman and Robin series is. It's all about family. Fast and the Furious too. But
I actually I was wondering when I read it, because this closed out that story, but I really was like, oh man, is this the last issue of the run? Because they really didn't, like, until that last page and like the last couple pages, they hadn't really set anything up, which I actually do appreciate. Like, I appreciate a story arc having its own time and not being like, hey, we're also trying to set up the next arc down the road. So honestly, as I was reading, I was like 3/4 of the way through the book, I was like, holy shit, did I not know? Is this the last issue? And also it was an issue 10 too, which is like a typical ending point for like arcs. But so I loved how they gave that story like its own room to breathe and then set up the next one. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, see, what's good about that too is, like, your typical story arc is like 5 or 6 issues, but you figure like these first, it introduced Shush, and it continued with her and brought in Man Bat and continued, but they did it in like 10 issues, which is a good enough storyline because everything got figured out within 10 issues. So it wasn't like they kind of stopped with Shush and then brought in Man Bat. Like, everything continued, the stuff that Damien was trying to deal with at school, and then like middle of the way you got Flatline coming in, and her stuff. And by the end of it, like those last couple of pages was everything was getting wrapped up. Like who the teacher was, Man Bat, everything was like done. And you're like, all right, so nothing is left open. And then all of a sudden, like, Flatline's like, I'm leaving because I don't want to tell him what's going on. But hey, it's Bane. Like, we're going after Bane.
Bomb drop.
He's around. Yeah. So, and he looked pretty badass. He's like on like Dinosaur Island or whatever. So
yeah, just like wrecked some T-Rex or something. yeah.
So that was cool. Another issue, the Batman Gotham by Gaslight Kryptonian Age was a cool read, and very similar. How like Ain't No Grave is that Western stuff. It's same thing. It's like the late 1800s. It's in the Victorian era of Gotham. We see Selina doing her thing, and it's kind of setting up this different time with Gotham by Gaslight with Batman, introducing kind of the League of Shadows, introducing Talia in this like different timeline, basically. So, I like that they're doing this Elseworlds. We talked about this like about a month or two ago, all those upcoming Elseworlds things that they're continuing. So interesting number 1 on that. A holdover from last week, actually 2 of them that were holdovers from last week that have actually been selling really well. That Gromit's number 1 from Image. It's the Rick Remender book. It's skateboard related. It's like set in the
I didn't get to read it.
Okay, yeah, it's cool. It's like set in the 80s in Cali, so it's like, that's your typical skater time. Just about some kid, he's like new to the town, and he befriends some other kid who's says he's like the best skater. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get sponsored. So and so have seen me, and then all of a sudden he goes and tries to skate, and he just can't, and he gets wrecked. And just the last page panel is just like him, just his face is all busted up, like because he wears braces. But it's a cool book because you get a lot of like 80s themes in there. I think I sent it in the group chat, Zach, with like, they're sitting in the car and he's like, hey, do you like Rush? And the kid's like, Rush. He's like, Rush isn't that like a satanic band? And then he starts like singing it. And you're like, okay, like this is cool because it's like this time frame of like music and like style and, everything that's kind of around it, especially in like, I think it's like 1984. But other than that, the other book that was, it was a book that I wanted to pick up, and I just completely forgot. And then luckily I was able to grab it. Was Falling in Love on the Path to Hell.
I want to read that one.
Yeah, really cool. So it's same thing. It's like all these books that came out this week are like literally late 1800s. So there's 2 characters. You have a cowboy out in the West in San Francisco. He's basically he was like following this group of people that like killed his family. He's almost ready to die. And then across the ocean in Japan, there's like this woman who, this is like the end of it's perfect because if you watch Shogun, it's like the end of the samurai era and they're kind of like all, turning in their swords and kind of giving up what they were, like the samurai. And then she kind of starts a rebellion, almost dies. They meet on like the beach and they think they can see each other. Like that's the way it portrays, is like she's like this, she could see him across the ocean and he can see her across the ocean. This thing called the Crimson Tide comes and takes them to hell. They wake up on in basically this completely different island, and all these people are there, and that they have to like just fight things. Like you have no idea. They just wake up, and all of a sudden there's like people, and they're like, "Oh well, welcome to hell," type of thing. And you're like, "Oh okay." So they both died, and I guess they're going to befriend each other because when they meet each other once they get to this island, and then someone finds them. So interesting book for a number one.
Sounds wild.
Another book real quick, The Hardstyle Juice. I talked about that first issue. It's a Comixology exclusive, the wrestling book. So issues 2 and 3 are out now. So Chris Costero is the girl who takes over for her brother, and it's becoming like a revenge tour type of thing. So she is, finding out little bits of information of like how her brother died, and she's wrestling herself through, taking up where her brother left off because the family needs money. So, she's just a badass wrestler. And if you're a wrestling fan, like a lot of lingo and a lot of things that are happening. So we're going progressively through this series. I don't know. I think it's going to be a mini series. I just don't know how many issues, whether it's 5 or 6, but it's been really good for these first 3 issues, but definitely pick of the week. And it came out of nowhere. And, I don't know, I just surprised that I didn't know about this, and we didn't find out about this till very late, is Lawful number 1. I don't know if you guys saw this from Image. So it's really cool. So it's like magic meets like modern times. So it's like modern times like it is right now, but everybody, they live in like this walled city, and it's all about like magic. But what happens is if you tell a lie, or if you do a bad deed, you start to change. Like you actually start to become like an animal, and you start to transform. So like you're introduced very early on to these 2 characters named Sung and Eris. And Sung is a boy who hasn't done anything wrong. He's kind of completely fine. And Eris is his friend, and she's got like a tail already, and like she's already starting to get like panther claws, like look like she's changing. And it kind of then skips forward where they're older, and he still has, and he did one bad thing when he was young, and all of a sudden like this like red thing starts to protrude from his chest, and like he gets really upset. So from that time, that's the only bad thing he's ever done in his life. Anything like jaywalking or like cheating on a test or whatever it is, because you see this in this book, like this person cheats on their test, and all of a sudden they grow like a crab claw. It's weird. So the whole thing is that he ends up taking this test, and what he wants to be is like a cleric, because what the clerics do is they are actually the judge. I wouldn't say judge, jury, and executioner. They're just like the judge and the jury. So they get these informations through the town of like, okay, well, this person has done this. Do they get a second chance, or do we just kick him out of this walled city? And he takes the test. He's very like scared that he's gonna fail it. He ends up passing it, and then his first job is his friend. He gets actually the paperwork for the friend, Eris, and he has to make a choice of to either like basically kick her out or save her this time, and that kind of like sets up like this going forward. So I'm not going to spoil like what happens, but interesting stuff. It's written by Greg Pak. It's done by Boom Studios. Some badass covers are out there as well, so definitely check it out. Lawful number 1 from Boom.
Nice. Check that out.
Yeah. So that's it for me. And let's get into some Bloodhunt stuff.
Yeah. So, and we spent a lot of time here, so we'll kind of quickly move through the Bloodhunt. So obviously we had issue 3 came out, which kind of moved the storyline a little bit, right? Like, not, I mean, it hasn't moved a lot, but I did really like a lot of these tie-ins this week. Honestly, I actually really enjoyed some of them. I'll let you guys kind of talk about it. The only one I really wanted to talk about the most was I wanted to talk about Fantastic Four's tie-in, and maybe the Jubilee.
I'll take Strange Academy. I'll take the Strange Academy. I think that was my favorite. So yeah, so we had what do we have this week? We had Strange Academy, Bloodhunt 2. You had the Bloodhunt 2 of Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and
Miles Morales.
And the Miles Morales and Bloodhunt number 3. So
and Jubilee.
And
Oh, and
Jubilee,
and the Jubilee one
the
shot. So I'll
Jubilee.
take the we'll talk about Strange Academy. I feel like some of these tie-ins are really like important. And I think Strange Academy definitely has one of the more important ones because
Seems
you
like
get
it.
the Darkhold, the kid
Yeah.
who now is the Darkhold has become a kid. And you learn a little bit more about how he was put together and with Agatha and the Harkness. And then you also have the other side of what's going on with the Strange Academy kids, finding out that one of the kids is a vampire, and and Pi, who completely hates vampires because they was basically almost killed by them well before this. So I'm really interested to see where this series is going to go because the Strange Academy series, like Volume 1, I enjoyed reading. Second one, what was it called? Like the finals. I was like, whatever. And they've done a few other little minis, but I think that this series alone of what's setting up with and where they want to go with the Darkhold is going to be coming. I think it's something going to be kind of towards the end of Bloodhunt. Like I feel like this is something that's important. So
Mhm.
definitely from all the Bloodhunt stuff this week, I enjoyed the Strange Academy little
Okay.
mini. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, Justin, go ahead.
I mean, I didn't get to any of the side stuff, but just the main, which we could wait if you want to break down like the last bit afterwards. I'm the like I said, I just dived into like the Bloodhunt as the core stuff. It looks a lot of fun. What was it? Bloodhunters, like the first issue I had read a little bit, and just started to get a little feel of like where all these other characters are right now, but. I haven't had time to really dive through everything else yet, but I love Strange Academy, so I really should be on top of that too.
So the Jubilee
And you
book,
spend some money on every little tie-in. Like we talked about this, it was just
yeah,
you'd spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
to get
they've
every
been
book and every tie-in.
they've
Yeah.
been pretty decent though. I mean, not to say not encouraging people to spend money on all these books, but the Jubilee one is a little let down for me. That was a character I was really excited about for the one shot with her history of being like the vampire, and I thought it was
Yep.
going to play into it more, and they really didn't. Like, it was kind of at the beginning. She's like, "Oh, I was a vampire, and this is why I don't put up with vampires." And then she teams up with like some other, good vampires. But I didn't really feel like it delved into like her history of being a vampire at all. It was just her meeting up with a crew to fight the vampire. So I was kind of let down by that one.
So you're an X-Men, you're X-Men guys. I think they're called like the Forgiven. I think that was the group name. Are they new or old?
I don't remember. So she's been a vampire for she was a vampire before Krakoa for a really long time.
Yeah. I remember that
and
X-Men series that was all the whole female thing. She was a vampire
yeah,
at that point.
it all started back in like the early 2000s. The Curse of the Mutants is like when she, I think, became. I don't remember that. I maybe I read those characters at some point, but I don't remember them. They're almost like the reverse to the Blood Coven, right? Like kind of like good guy vampires with like.
It seemed like she knew them the way she talked
Yeah,
about them. Like they
they
weren't.
implied it, yeah, but I don't remember them specifically in anything.
They were called the Forgiven, was the name?
I think that was like the Forgiveners or something like that.
Yeah. I think the weakest one of the weakest, maybe there's probably others, but the Amazing Spider-Man mini Bloodhunt number 2 with like Lizard him. It's horrible. It's just not like, it's so dumb. Like he just runs around and like it's pointless. The one that surprised, sorry, before Miles Morales was good. I love the addition of Hightail kind of showing back up. I think that's a cool character. I think finally, like we talk about like Miles and Gwen and like these characters that are good Spider Universe characters suffer from any good supporting new characters. It's always some like new Doc Ock or new Shocker or new, X-Men villain, or Spider-Man villain. But Hightail is a new villain who is kind of cool. So I really like the addition of Hightail in there, and I'd like to see where that goes. I enjoy that surprisingly because I'm not a big Miles fan. The Avengers title was really good. Also, I love Kate Bishop being a badass. I love this whole Baron Blood situation as well. What's better than vampire Nazis, dude? Like, honestly, tell me what's better than vampire Nazis. It's just the coolest thing, and Cap's up there throwing shields at them on a helicarrier, dude. It's just the best. It's so good. But for me, surprisingly, I loved this Fantastic Four issue.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed it. And we talk about Fantastic Four like struggling in terms of like stories a lot and where they're going to go with it. But I loved how they had this little dynamic of Alicia Masters and Reed kind of being on their own. And there's not two characters you see together, like often just the two of them. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed how they went to New York, and then Reed was using his powers in like kind of cool ways, which I mean, I haven't read a lot of Fantastic Four lately, but I hadn't seen it that way being used. And I don't know, man. I really, really enjoyed that issue. I thought both characters were written super well. I thought they had a great back and forth. They had like, an analogy with like artwork and Reed not understanding how people like art. And I kind of feel like I'm the same way. Like, I don't, like Reed says a point where he's like, people stand in front of art and they have feelings. I never feel like that. And like, I'm totally the same way. I never have been like moved by a piece of art, but
you've never cried in front of something in like
the Mona Lisa. No.
Yeah.
No. But
the screaming woman. Like
you haven't lived, Zach.
Wow. I know I haven't lived. Who am I? It's a monster.
You haven't walked into the 16 Chapel and been like, and just. I mean,
I have.
An aura has hit me.
I have been in the Sistine Chapel, and it is amazing. But yeah. But it's just. I really love this issue. I don't know. I'm not saying it's like the best issue or anything. Or I'm not saying it was great. Like anything. To me, it was awesome. I loved the way they wrote them. I thought it was a great dynamic. I took a screenshot because there's this one panel that I thought was funny. Reed's telling Alicia like what their chances are, and he says, we break it down, blah, and he leaves the last 5%. She says, "What's the last 5% chance for?" And Reed says, "A situation wherein Johnny becomes vampirized through inattention. Evil vampire Johnny realizes that flaming on would burn off his infection, and so the others have to find various ways to trick him into flaming on." And she says, yeah, that. You ask me, that should be closer to 20%. So that was funny. Like, I don't know. It really just got to me. So I like that issue. I thought it was really cool. That was probably my favorite Bloodhunt issue this week.
Wow. I'm surprised you didn't talk about the when they did the meme in the Spider-Man Bloodhunt, when they did the It's Morbin time.
I forgot that. I read it and I was like, whoa, my God. Morbius was like, "Don't ever say that to me again."
Yeah.
It's Morbin time.
All right, Justin, take over. Bloodhunt 3. Tell us about it.
So and I'm trying to think because I read like all three in a row, so I'm trying to think where it broke off in between. But I know that I think this is the one where Dracula and Briella are they're kind of come back into the picture, and they get right. I think this is this issue.
And Miles is there. Miles kind of ends
they find out Miles, and then they all split off in different directions for different missions.
Right. Yeah. So like I know it's like the Midnight Mission. Their plan is to take care of the vampires. They don't really get into the details of what they have planned, and they mentioned that there's like an additional team member that they need to include in order to make things happen. And then it was like who was this? Oh, Spider-Man and Drac go after Briella, who's going after her dad now because she's in shock. She can't believe that her that Blade would even be the villain in all this, and but she takes off. And then the other one was the Avengers are going after Blade themselves and the Blood Coven. I love the Blood Coven, like the idea of them, and I like that the Avengers kind of got their chance to kind of swing back within this issue because they were kind of taken off guard the first time around when they first butted heads. So that was cool. Like the battle scenes were really cool. I like seeing the crew, like everybody kind of land and stand that, they always have like the superhero pose or whatever. They had a really, really gorgeous superhero pose as like a full page splash page. And then we get like Captain America, who is really he's saved or he was in the issue previous. He was like saved by T'Challa, and really it was more because of the fact that he has hope and he can provide hope and inspiration to the rest of the crew or the rest of the world. So they kind of like tap in and share with the world what's going on. And he really he gives this inspirational his motivational speech to the world, and not giving up and how we're going to keep fighting no matter what. So I would very much Captain America fashion. So and that's I think they kind of just leave off the three of them splitting up, right? Those three teams kind of taking off. We don't really see where they go from there.
Yeah, and Blade brings that the fortress that they found some from under Wakanda, and it crashes into like New York, right? We don't really know what it is. It's like the
that's right.
Temple of the First Betrayal or something is what he called it, something like that. I can't remember exactly.
First Blasphemy, I think.
First Blasphemy. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because that's like kind of
that Black Panther found.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. Like when they did the when he does that speech, he talks about like Null. They talk about Galactus.
Oh, I love that they
Tar,
returned
like
all that.
yeah, it was really cool. Like how he was just like like Null came and we said no, and like Galactus came and we said no, and he's like, we're not gonna stay. We're gonna continue to be like that. And it's just like you're right. Like and it's like I think him
like recent events too.
Yeah, like Sam and Carol have that conversation, that back and forth, and she's like, "I think this is why T'Challa saved you."
Yeah,
yeah,
she says you're the icon. Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was definitely a great issue. And you know what? So we talk about this every event, right? I think if they should have a lasting event, right, like a lasting thing that's going to end, and I have no idea how this is going to end. I would like to see Blade be a villain post this storyline.
Like continue being a villain.
Yeah, like keep him as a villain. Like don't make this somehow change where like he gets saved and he goes back to being good, like with Brielle. Like, yo, leave him a villain would be such a cool like
that's a good point.
After part of an event.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Anybody agree with me?
Yeah, definitely. It's like too easy to just like, all right, he's back, he's good.
Oh, he was taken over by some evil spirit,
Yeah. And especially if you're putting all this effort into these stories and everything else, if this is all, happening in continuity, like to keep it going, or at least a twist of it. I don't know, maybe him kind of being the villain that the world needs, kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know, a little Batman style.
I didn't feel like this Red Band. I don't know if you guys are reading the Red Band or the regular. I'm only reading the Red Band.
What was? Yeah, well, I didn't get the Red Band, but what's the difference, or what is?
It didn't feel like very different in this one. Some of the splash scenes were a lot of like more blood, but it wasn't as opposed to like the first two issues where like certain pages seemed but I haven't been reading them side by side since the first issue to see what the differences are. But obviously that first issue, the Doctor Strange situation was massive with the Red Band. But
I gotta reread that then. I've only read I guess the non-Red Band or whatever. I didn't know if it was just a variant, or I didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, it's more mature and gory. So like in the first issue, where Blade stabs him in the back, in the Red Band he's slices him in half, like
really
splits him up and blood's everywhere. So
nice.
This Red Band though, it didn't really seem, I didn't feel like it was like, honestly I think I read most of it and I forgot it was Red Band. So
so you couldn't even see the changes.
Is it like added pages, or like are there other dialogue in there that's not included, or is it pretty much exactly the same?
I think the dialogue's the same. I think some of the panels are different, and then obviously like the gore is more prevalent in the Red Band. You'll see blood and violence, but I think some panels are changed. Like I said, I haven't been reading the side by side since issue 1, so I don't know exactly.
That's cool though.
But so yeah, man, wow, that was a big week. That was half that 3/4 of the episode right there, just talking comics. That's the way it should be. But,
yeah, man.
Well, since we're talking, let's continue with Blade, right? Let's do the Blade.
Let's move into Blade.
There you go,
Justin.
So, geez, and this is just Blade's great in Bloodhunt, great character, but clearly the movie is not going anywhere. So over at TheWrap.com, Marvel's Blade loses another director, Jan Demange. Exclusive. He's the second director to depart the project, as MCU veteran Eric Pearson now works on the screenplay. So Jan is no longer directing Marvel's Studios' The Blade. The Wrap has exclusively learned the parting with the French Algerian filmmaker actually happened a while ago and was entirely amicable. Demange, based known for for directing an acclaimed television series Lovecraft Country and Top Boy, was the second director to depart the project after the first one. So where are we at, man? What are we doing? Like Herschel Ali is going to be way too old by the time they actually film this and this comes out.
I feel like I read an article not too long ago that there was talks that he was going to be leaving as well at this point. Like he was just like, screw this. And I don't know how real that is, or if it was like someone making guesswork of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, nah, never mind, man, I'm done.
Yeah. So Blade had several setbacks since first being announced at San Diego Comic-Con back in 2019. Wow. Now, more than ever, Marvel does not want to rush something that's into production that isn't ready. Blade movies were deeply important to the Marvel brand back in the 90s and early 2000s, and the team feels it's incredibly amount of responsibility and pressure to crack the character and story. And that's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we're in 5 years. All right, granted, you lose maybe like a year and a half because of COVID, but the movies were still being made and somehow, some way. But yeah, director after director leaving,
where are you at in
Yeah.
the timeline? Because I remember hearing his voice in the Eternals.
Eternals. Yeah, right. Yeah.
This is where I'm wondering is like, is it going to eventually, is it going to really start to affect the other movies, you know, or the releases of them, or push things back so ridiculously? I mean, what if this is like another 5 years? Not that it's saying that, but like, what if we're waiting another 5 years for this? And obviously there's stuff that's, I assume they had stuff tied in before and after. Is this going to affect everything else? I mean, I agree with the article in that, or, you know, at least what the way Marvel spins it is like, yeah, we want to make sure we put out the best product and everything. And I would hope, you know, that they would. I would rather that than them just put out some garbage. But at the same time, you do wonder what else is this going to affect, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
What about you?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I'm losing faith in the MCU in general. It just doesn't seem to be like what it was. I'm trying to be a positive, and you hope, and but then also, you know, you start to wonder, man. Like I've been the person like, no, it's not Disney's fault. It's not Disney's fault. Now I'm seeing Star Wars, and it's not so great with Disney. It's not so great. Maybe that wasn't a good merge, and so now I'm wondering. You know, I don't know what the problem is. There's some problem there, and they're keeping it under wraps. I mean, what could possibly? I don't know the film industry well enough to know why two directors leave, other than like creative differences, right? Like they're being told they want to do it this way, and these guys are like, no, I'm not doing it. You know,
yeah, pretty much. You know,
that's what I would think. That would be like my only like guess as to why this would occur. But they're not saying anything. They're being very tight-lipped about it.
Well, this pushes back so many projects because you figure you could do the Midnight Suns thing, the Ghost Rider thing.
Right.
Like, how do you introduce these characters? And these movies are going to come out, and there's going to be nothing to kind of fall back or to, you know. I know, you know, we always talk like the early days of the Marvel stuff was always like you just had a slight, you know, like a slight introduction of a character or like the post-credit scene, and that shouldn't really set up a character, but there's things that you can drop and hints into these movies that. Again, like Blade was there. Blade has already been established in Eternals. We know of it. And now it's been like so long since Eternals that people don't even remember like what that was like and where that was going to go with like the Black Knight. Like,
same with Shang-Chi, right? Like his whole in-credit scene. I mean, what's going on with that? Like at this point, to be honest, actually, I don't want to see Blade until after we're past Secret Wars. Like, because I'm really I'm holding on hope for obviously X-Men stuff, but also the supernatural stuff, right? So let's get past, figure out Kang problems, what you're going to do with Secret Wars when you have every hero's ever been there in the video. You know, honestly, I'm not even really like looking forward to that. Get past that, get it on the other end of that, and let's do the supernatural stuff with Blade. Maybe they'll fix their problems. Ghost Rider, Midnight Suns, X-Men. Like, I don't know, man. I don't really know what's going on over there.
2035.
2035, man. Ooh, can't wait till I'm in there with my walker going to see Blade finally show up. Dude, I would be retired by the time these movies come out.
Tomb of Dracula 10s. Whew,
Tomb of Dracula, and I'll be looking like I'm Dracula probably.
I'll be in a tomb by the time
my
the movie
tomb,
comes out.
But, okay. Well, yeah. So anyone who was massive Blade fans, honestly, sorry. That sucks.
Go back and watch the Wesley Snipes movies. Like,
yeah,
you just watch everyone once a year.
They're so amazing. You can keep rewatching them.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got another article here over from Image Comics. Justin, you want to take this one? You found this one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was announced back at Emerald City Comic Con, but it's coming out in August. I figure it's a nice little in between. So over at Image Comics, so Kieron Gillen, one of Zach and I's favorite writers, and Casper Wingard take Emerald City Comic Con by storm, announce upcoming series, The Power Fantasy, for August from Image Comics. And the reason why I bring it up now is because actually when I was reading one of the Image Comics books this week, and I saw this panel, this advertisement for it, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So the advertisement has these 6 characters on this page, and it says, there are 6 beings with superpowers on Earth. The world's continued existence relies on them never coming into contact. So, again, you have Kieron Gillen, someone who Zach and I like very much, artist, of course, of Casper Wingard. They talk about this. The power fantasy concept is laid out on a 2-page article that I just discussed. So it's in the world where superpowered has a specific meaning.
It's reserved solely for those with the destructive potential of the nuclear arsenal of most powerful nations on Earth. There are presently 6 powered beings, and the future is hopefully making sure that they never come into contact with each other. So I'm kind of excited to see where this is going to go because, again, writing from Kieron Gillen, whether it's Darth Vader to Die to Wicked and Divine, whatever it is, Gillian always comes through with this series. And
Yeah.
the advertisement was cool because you have all different kind of walks of life and people. It doesn't really look like they're in. It doesn't look like modern time like right now because there's definitely some characters that are a little out there. So
Yeah, it said like 1945 to 1999 is is technically like the window of time, and they mentioned like, or I think it was Kieran that mentioned that he's excited because of the fact that he can show some different angles of culture and throughout the time and throughout the world or the location. So I like the idea of it. I think it sounds cool. Like you guys said, like I think just these two together. I mean, anything Kieran Gillen's doing is kind of an automatic exploration for me.
Yeah.
Casper Wingard was cool too. Like he was on the was it Homesick Pilots, which I remember like really wild artwork from that, and that was more of a horror type of book. I don't know any other work from them, but I imagine. I mean, from what this is kind of describing, sounds like he could be the fit. So sounds cool.
yeah, it's a little quote here. He's like, I was doing a book at Marvel and I became aware of exactly sort of the things I wanted to do. As the Wicked and Divine was to Young Avengers, this is to Immortal X-Men. So comic book formed by superheroes, but no one, here we go. But nowhere a fight is the absolute lost state for everyone. It's set from 1945 to 1999, and so is a chance to really have fun with an alternative cultural history. I think you can see it as an extension of my best work. And he talks about Uber and Die's social group aspects. So, yeah, definitely some interesting stuff. So this comes out in August. Going to be an upcoming. I would say I think they don't really talk about it, but maybe a mini series, if not ongoing, the way Kieran really writes. So, you know, if he does it kind of similar to Die, where it's a 20-issue series, I think that's perfect. And Casper, I actually own an original piece by him, like an original cover. So I like his stuff. Very colorful. He did all the variants for the Star Wars Rebels 10th anniversary. So
okay.
I have the Ahsoka one, but he did, Hera and Sabine and everybody. So very colorfulistic. So I actually got to check that book out, Jay. I never read that Homesick Pilots. What's that? Have you read it?
Yeah, it's like horror vibe, but it's like this rock band and their name is Homesick Pilot. But the chick ends up going into like this haunted house, and essentially she's like the lead singer of the band, and she gets like trapped there. She goes through a ton, and meanwhile like her band is trying to figure out how to like find her and also live life, and there's like some heavier topics in there as well. So I enjoyed the read overall. I forget if I think it just ended after, I think it was like 12 issues or whatever it was. But that was my first experience with any of Wingard's artwork. So definitely.
I'm gonna have to write that down. Homesick Pilots. Yeah. If it's only like that, if it's only that many issues, I can definitely find it in trade format or, even picking up the issues can't be too expensive. And that's that's an Image book. So awesome.
I got one more article here real quick. Not even really an article, but something else that's coming out here soon. And I posted on Instagram like a couple days ago or whatever, but Daniel Warren Johnson announced a new title he's got coming out. The Moon is Following Us. And it's him, Riley Rossmo, and Mike Spicer. So, I mean, we're all big Dual Powerbomb fans, right? And what Daniel Warren Johnson's doing with Transformers and even with Mike Spicer's like art and that too. I don't have a lot of information. It drops September 18th. Let's see this. I'm on like his newsletter, and so I get sent this stuff from him too. But it said it was inspired by his daughter during a walk about the moon. She's talking about the moon. He said this book is incredibly personal for Riley Rossmo and himself, and it's a comic about family and about parenthood, but it also has sweet snake monsters. He says. So that's all we really got on it. But it looks good,
I got it
man.
over here on IGN. IGN got the article. It says, so the moon is following us revolves around a couple named Sam and Duncan Lamar. When their daughter is kidnapped by a mysterious force known as the Cascade, Sam and Duncan will fight alongside a group of magical beings to bring her back by any means necessary.
You know,
All
he
right.
writes a lot about family. I mean, Do a Powerbomb Do a Powerbomb kind of brought tears to your eyes, right?
Oh,
Like,
it's heavy.
and
Yeah.
so
This
know,
kind of
and
reminds
there's
me of
Transformers stuff too.
well, that too, yeah. But you know what? This kind of reminds me of Black Science from Rick Remender.
Oh
Because
yeah,
that was like that space family, and they were always jumping into
Travel.
different.
Yeah, I
kind
just
of
bought
almost
like
like
the compendium to that recently.
oh, I love.
I
Black
didn't get to
Science.
finish it. I've read like the first 25, like 26 issues or whatever. Like literally halfway through it. Got to finish that. But
It's almost like a well, not Lost Planet. Is it Lost Planet? With the robot.
No, you're thinking, oh gosh, Lost in Space.
Lost in
Thank
Space.
you. I was just gonna be Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah.
Do that and be like, someone's got to get this.
Did you ever
All right,
watch
so it comes out.
the Netflix show of that? Like the remake they did on Netflix?
Oh, you know what?
I started it. Yeah,
It wasn't too
back.
bad, man. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's only like 3 seasons or something. It's watchable. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But,
All right, so yeah, it's coming out September 18th. The moon is following us.
You said so. Riley Rossmo's the main artist in that.
yeah, and it looks like maybe Spicer's just the cover.
Oh, okay. I know Rossmo. I feel like it's not for everybody. I know Rossmo's doing a lot on the Harley Quinn. I don't know if they're still on there or not, but that's where I kind of got into Rossmo, and I do like Rossmo, but it's definitely a unique style of art to say the least.
Yeah, it looks like this is because this doesn't look like Mike Spicer art. They have some interior pages here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It looks
throw it up
kind
here.
of like, what does it look like to me? I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's definitely Riley's stuff.
Yeah,
Twig, kind of like it's. You know what it looks like?
Yeah,
It looks
kind of like Twig.
Justin-
Yeah.
like Twig or Armored. Kind of looks like the artwork from that book Armored we just read.
Hmm.
A little bit to me. But
Well, the number one definitely has the wraparound cover and it has the snake
Oh,
that they're talking
nice.
about. So, but I could definitely see a cool fantasy sci-fi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it was? Riley's stuff on Harley was tough to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you're so used to it being like a realistic character,
Totally.
right?
Totally.
And you have like Riley just had this weird like facial expression for Harley, and I just wasn't about it. But this looks pretty cool, very fantasy-esque. It's like this frog with this crown, very something out of like Mario Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Definitely fantasy stuff here.
Mr. Toad.
Yeah, that looks
Looks like
cool.
Watership Down. So yeah. I'm excited
Oh, yeah.
about that.
Awesome. So in September, Moon is following us.
So, side note as well, in case you're wondering, Justin's, the GI Joe Real American Hero Kickstarter just reached $2,150,000, dude. Another stretch goal reached, bro. More cards coming our way for all of those guys who got them. We're getting cards. You're getting more cards. There's still 2 stretch goals that they haven't met, and there's like 13 days left, dude. It's just wild, bro.
We recorded a week ago. That means it went up 1 million because we were at 1.2 last week. And it's at what?
It's
2?
It's at 2,120 or 150,000. That's
So it went up
13 days.
like 800,000 in a week.
Damn.
It is
That's
funded
ridiculous.
4,248% funded, dude. What? It's
I'm not a
not even real
math guy,
math,
but
bro.
that-
Just
that's
put like
pretty
we're funded, dude.
Yeah,
We're like
yeah.
super funded. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, 4,248%. Oh, totally, dude. Totally. That's wild.
They got to
Some
do
dudes-
Transformers. I need Transformers then. I don't care.
They're like Scrooge McDuck over there, man. They're just rolling in cash with this shit. But it's cool. Like I'll tell you what. I mean, like these stretch goals, they're not like it's cool stuff. Like it's definitely really cool. And you got to vote. I don't know if I told you this, Justin. You got to vote on stretch goals before. They put out like a vote, like, hey, what 3 cards? So they're releasing. They had the Joe cards. It was like Snake Eyes, like trading cards, right? Joe, Snake Eyes, Stalker, Scarlet, Duke, Hawk, and CoverGirl were the original ones that you were going to get. And then Cobra, you're going to get Baroness, Cobra, Commander, Serpentor, Major Blood, Zartan, and Destro. And then they had like a voting system, like, hey, here's like 6 characters, maybe it's more, it's probably like 10, and you voted for 3. And so the new votes for the Joes, you get Beachhead, Lady J, and Flint, and Cobra has Tomax and Zama, Dr. Mindbender, and Firefly. So it is like very interactive too, which I thought was pretty cool, like letting people pick it. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That just like as a Transformers fan, that just like breaks my heart because it's just like, oh man.
But gives you hope. But gives you hope.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think they should see that, right? They should 100% see that.
I don't know how they couldn't. Someone over there's like, get ready for the Kickstarter for Transformers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but,
get those servers up and ready because it's happening, folks.
Well, cool guys. I think that's kind of it for today, right? Justin, thanks for joining us again, man. You're always welcome. It's always fun to have another reader on here. That's what we do, right? That's what the hobby's all about. Everyone, the spec and stuff, and the people who flip, more power to them. But the hobby at its core is about the books, right? The content, the art, that kind of stuff. And so we love talking about that stuff. So really appreciate you coming on, man.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you having me. And I love that you guys go as deep as you do with the books and the new stuff. I feel like I see hate out there for new comic books nowadays, and I don't
much hate.
Yeah, like there's so much good stuff. So I'm glad you guys really take the time to explore a lot. I mean, you guys cover like everything. So even if you don't like it, which is cool. So I appreciate it, and keep it going.
Justin and I had a little conversation about this. I don't know. All our conversations merge at this point, but we're talking about even when we do like the hot garbage, like it's not negative. Like I'm not like, I think I brought up the example of Justin, I was loving the Daredevil run, the current Daredevil run. And then like one of the issues came out and that was my hot garbage pick of the week. And it's not to say that whole run's bad. I just thought that issue wasn't very good. And I think we're in this weird realm where like, you can't be critical of anything anymore. Cause if you are, you're negative or you're a bully or you're, whatever, like there's just, and so this isn't critical, man. It's critical. It's critical thinking. And you also have to hold people to standards or else you're going to continue to get garbage.
Right.
So
yeah, it's true. And even when you put your opinion out there, and even when you put your opinion out there, other people's mindset is like, oh, like they think that you're dismissing the whole series based on the one issue or whatever. And to what you just said, it's not the whole, it's literally just one issue that you might have had a little bit of an issue with. So, I get it. Kind of the world we're in, unfortunately, or part of it anyways.
Yeah. I think the key is also, you just got to be open. Like there's a lot of shit I don't like. And I always talk about how I don't like Spider-Man. I think it's garbage. And I don't like Ghost Spider. Justin loves Ghost Spider. More power to you, man. Like, that's for you. It's not for me. Ms. Marvel, same thing. I don't like her. People do. Good for you. I think we all just gotta. You can not like something. It can be okay. Just don't be an asshole.
Yeah. So. I mean, not every Ghost Spider-Gwen series has been good. There's definitely been a lot of like, ugh. Like I feel like I'm reading the same series for the second time over, or even Star Wars. Like not every Star Wars book has been. Yeah. I mean, for you, right? Like so. For the people that don't know, Justin No Good, he has a YouTube channel, and you do the omnibus X-Men stuff. It's like when you're reading all those X-Men stories, like is every issue in that arc great from like Claremont and like
no, not at all.
They're hard to get through.
There's definitely some hot garbage. Yeah, there's and we're there to make fun of it and poke fun and and go along with it. But you're right. Yeah, like it's not a home run every single time. That's for sure.
You're like, whew, this is bad. Like, come on, like even like if we were to do like if I was to do like a Batman, like old school, be like, oh my god, every issue is bad. Like it just
Golden Age is horrible. Golden Age Batman's like unreadable.
Yeah, just that era stuff.
So where can people find you, Jay? Let the people know that don't know.
Mostly Instagram. Pretty much live there. No Good Comics, just one word. And I kind of stepped away from YouTube a little bit, just as far as my own content, other than the Omni X-Men show with John. But we actually just wrapped up the season earlier this week for season 4. We just finished. I realized we kicked off our show right around the time you guys did for your podcast, which is pretty cool. Kind of going side by side here for for the past 4 years. So next season we're going to do New Mutants, the first omnibus of that. We're going to go explore a bit more Bob McLeod and all that stuff. So otherwise, kind of taking the summer off. Got some Comic Cons coming up. Hopefully, see you both in August. I assume.
We'll be set up at Terrificon.
Oh, you will. Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, if you guys do a show on Terrificon, you gotta let me know.
Oh, always, man. Yeah. We'll be there.
We'll be playing at the tables, right? Craps, you're a craps guy,
dude,
man.
Yes, I will be there. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We're doing some craps.
Sounds good.
And Miss Lady No Good is going to win tons of money.
Yeah. She's got all the luck. I just follow along.
There's a chance I'm still trying to work on it that I might go down to Heroes Con on Saturday. So if anyone's at Heroes Con hearing this on Friday, keep an eye on. I might be there Saturday, leaving Sunday. So we'll see.
Nice. Are you far from there?
Like 5 hours.
Okay, because I knew you moved down that way, but
yeah, not close, but it's
close,
drivable. So
do it.
It's no different than when I went to freaking North Jersey, man. That was like a 6-hour journey, dude. It was wild. 300 miles, 6 hours. Gosh, traffic, bro.
All those New Jersey drivers. Oof.
Yeah. The garbage
even
state.
that bad. It was all tolls.
State, dude.
He had to pay tons of tolls. He's like, what
dude,
the
I
hell
did
is
have to pay tons of tolls. That was wild. I think I paid like $60 worth of tolls. Insanity.
That's like
the roads are for shit. There's potholes everywhere. It was like, where's this money going? This is insanity.
Welcome to the East Coast, bro.
Dude, some dude, once again, it's the same guy who's making all this money off G.I. Joes. The toll road money guy is sitting there just rolling like Scrooge McDuck, not fixing shit. Sucks, man.
Well, Jay, you're always welcome on here. And please, when the X-Men books drop, we will absolutely have you on here again to talk all the X-Men related stuff. And, look forward to, your next season with the New Mutant stuff. So
I appreciate it. I got to have you guys on. You guys haven't been on yet. We'll got to get you guys. Maybe we'll do 2 separate shows. Have each take up a guest spot there at some point.
When you get to the age of
I got all the omnis right here, man.
I know. I was going to say you're locked and loaded.
We know what we're doing.
You should just have Zach on as a weekly guest.
If you do Age of Apocalypse, for sure, I would love to do that with you because that's my favorite X-Men run for sure.
Oh man, nice.
Awesome. Well, season 4, episode 24. Thanks everybody from Nemesis Prime, Zach and Justin Knowgood. We are out of here. Peace out, everybody.
Later.
Hey, comic book collectors, do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCom15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.